Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malabite.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, we start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. We start with the story above the lead. National Assembly begins debate on Tinubu's 27.5 trillion budget with details of fiscal document. Rowane, Nigerians interested in food affordability, not budgetary arithmetics, says citizens want to feel impact of government economic policies. Well, the Senate yesterday began debating the budget 2027, but not with the fiscal documents, and that in itself is curious. So you want to wonder, what are they debating? And I hope the promise to speedily pass this budget will not be done without details, because that in itself will be alarming. Now, some other newspapers are also reporting this story. The Vanguard newspaper, federal government, MDAs now undertakers of business, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and the Nigerian Economic Consultative Association lament rising inflation, multiplicity of taxes, threats of strikes, protests, say Nigeria needs investment to create jobs, loud organized businesses for resilience. People not interested in budget figures if prices of bread, rice remain high. Bismarck Rowane adds, you can fake news, but you can't fake prosperity. Well, you know, when you use fake to qualify news, we journalists will cringe. I won't use the word fake news, but perhaps the government thus far has been very high on headline grabbing pronouncement. So to grab the headlines of the day, very easy with some pronouncement. But how these pronouncements, how these figures are trickling down and making the people live easy, bringing down the cost of living, is a different kettle of fish altogether. And what Nigerians can feel after about 8 months of the present administration is pain and pangs of poverty. But the president has said, yes, there will be pains, and Nigerians should bear these pains for now, because the gains are just underway. How long it will take for Nigerians to see these gains remains to be seen. But if you have a budget that is being debated without details, then Nigerians cannot be that hopeful that relief will come so soon. Now, the Punch newspaper reporting new wage begins April. Federal government votes 24 trillion naira for salaries. Labor, federal government begins talks. Current wage regime expires March ending, says minister. Federal government laments fiscal deficits. Reps condemn high MDA salary. Ministries, department, and agencies having high salaries demand ICPC probe. Yes, while, of course, the photograph in the front page of the Punch newspaper, as in other newspapers, COP28, Tinubu meets King Charles, Nigeria orders $26 billion, $261 billion fund. Yes, this fund being made available to countries, the poorer countries, as it were, to deal with climate change issues, especially as it has to do with carbon emissions. And Nigeria also eyeing that amount, will be a beneficiary from that amount. So President Bola Tinubu there in COP28 in the United Arab Emirates, he will be delivering his own speech today, later in the day. Now, the Guardian newspaper, International Day, amid ravaging scourge, HIV cure vaccine still elusive. 42 years on, yes, 1.9 million Nigerians living with HIV/AIDS as of 2022. Now, the national average mother-to-child transmission rate of 22% is driven by a large number of states with transmission rates above 25% and few states with rates below 15%. Of course, the graphics there on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. New infections among key populations. Of course, female sex workers, these are the carriers. Men who have sex with men, drug addicts, inmates of correctional facilities, and transgender people. Of course, new infections among key populations, and the Guardian newspaper highlighting these key populations that were having a lot of infection. Donor agencies spent over $750 million, about 750 billion naira, which is over 85% of total funds spent yearly on HIV/AIDS program, while nationally, the National HIV Strategic Plan 2021 to 2022 will require $2.8 billion to finance the HIV response. Now, that is the situation, International Day of AIDS, and the Guardian newspaper reporting there. Now, other stories on the front page of the Guardian. Reps knock oil operators over let down of host communities, and Lagos Assembly takes inventory of failed state roads. Well, I think the Assembly should not just take inventory. They need to take action immediately. What happened to the Lagos State Direct Labor Agency? In years past, they were very active, night and day, fixing roads. Right now, a lot of roads are in bad shape in Lagos, and the rains have even made them worse. So, Governor Sanwo-Olu, I think action needs to be taken. While you look at the big projects, the blue rail, the red line, other roads, the roads are in bad shape and causing unnecessary gridlock in many parts of Lagos. Now, if we look at, if we just go back to These Day newspaper, the lead story, let's look at These Day, the lead story. NERC, stakeholders seek dedicated funding to meet massive investment gap in the power sector. Discos lists illiquidity, FS scarcity as factors hindering mass metering. Shetima, mass meter manufacturing will help country address power challenges. Federal government warns against power theft, says liquidity dependent on customers' ability to pay. Says licenses must meet renewable energy obligations. Yes, a lot in the power sector. And of course, the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shetima, talking about mass metering. People cannot continue to be receiving estimated billing in this country. And manufacturing of meter is not rocket science. We should be able to set up companies in Nigeria to manufacture this. It will create jobs and it will meet the demand of meters. But of course, a number of other issues plaguing the power sector, even as the licenses of discos are up for review, haven't expired, as it were. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, how to get 2024 budget right, economists, proposal low compared to South Africa, Ghana, others. Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Nigerians not interested in figures, but of course, the Rowan's popular statement. Senators rep considers Tinubu's 27 trillion budget without details. Navy arrests 2 ships' crew for illegal fishing. 1,001 students in Kano State Government foreign scholarship departing to their respective destination. Of course, Kano State there giving scholarships to students. The Nation newspaper, how federal government will tackle budget 2024 deficit by Edu. Measures will crash shortfall from 6.11% to 3.88% of GDP. Senate House begins, of course, the debate there in the front page of the Nation newspaper. But the other story, Ayeda Tiwa, Ondo House, close rank. ESCO adopts Abuja peace terms. House withdraws suits against deputy governor. Workers to get 35,000 naira. So the President Tinubu solution to the Ondo crisis seemed to be working. And governance is now going on in Ondo State. The deputy governor chaired ESCO meeting, and the House of Assembly, they are no longer challenging the court verdict that prevents them from impeaching the deputy governor. So, you say, Tinubu has found a political solution to the crisis.
Contravene the constitution.
Yes, I said that yesterday.
Tinubu's mandate.
To contravene the constitution of the country.
It's an extra constitutional solution.
So, and that's an invitation to chaos and anarchy, because with this, you have set a precedent, which is a bad precedent. So any other person can wriggle his way around this precedent. This is not good for our country.
The constitutional way to go is for the
same governor Akeredolu in 2009 during the Yaradua matter was very frontal, calling for upholding the constitution. The constitution is the ground norm.
True.
This is breaking the law. We are breaking the laws of this country.
But they found a political solution.
And for what it's worth, renewed fighting has started in Mangu local government area again. It was reported in the papers this morning.
Yes.
Let's solve the insecurity problem. This is not a solution. This is breaking the constitution. Okay.
Well, Ruben.
Okay, no, I wanted to comment on the power sector story on the front page of the Guardian. It's good to see that stakeholders, are focusing on the challenge of electricity, and that the NERC was at one event together with three events actually took place yesterday, which was the PwC forum, which attracted key speakers. Then the commissioning of a meter production factory in Oraifite in Anambra State by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima. And also, third, the conference of the Power Correspondents Association of Nigeria, PCAN. Now, two themes stood out at the PwC forum and at the PCAN workshop, which was attended by the Minister of Power, Adegoke Adelabu, in representative capacity. And they were looking at the Electricity Act of 2023. Now, this new Electricity Act is the one that liberalizes the sector, because the minister, his representative, the director of transmission at the PCAN event, was saying, look, under a liberal regime, anybody can generate power, even individuals can generate power if you wish. States, other stakeholders. So it's no longer as if government has monopoly there. And that the Electricity Act, provides guidelines, provides, opportunities for integration, for cooperation. The kind of example that someone has cited at the PwC forum, citing the example of India. But what we see in all of this is the concern about metering, which the Vice President himself referred to in Oraifite. While the Vice President says, okay, if we continue with metering, we'll make a lot of progress. But the stakeholders are saying that, look, metering, getting meters available, there are issues. Foreign exchange, illiquidity within the system, to the disadvantage of, the discos and also to some extent the gencos. And that we need to have, they were arguing at the PwC forum, a dedicated financial institution for the energy sector, for the electricity sector, because the level of investment that is required, local banks may not be able to do it, but if you have a dedicated financial institution, that will help. But in any case, of course, the Vice President was full of praise for the people behind the metering farm in Oraifite. The company says it can produce up to about 400 million meters per annum, employ 500 direct staff That's jobs for engineers and others, and then create over 4,000, indirect jobs. I think the major challenge there is that if we have this kind of initiative coming up, government has just one thing to do, to provide an enabling environment. Because that same company that wants to produce meat is likely to meet the same kind of challenge that the director of the Ikeja Disco, Mrs. Chueton, pointed out at one of the events, which is about an enabling environment, about liquidity, about foreign exchange, and then, of course, the bigger challenge that was pointed out, electricity theft, that we Nigerians also have a role to play. And it was the Minister Adelabu's representative who was making this point, that even the media has a duty to educate the Nigerian public against sabotage, against electricity theft. So if any, you have an assignment from the Minister of Power. Okay. If you see anybody bypassing electricity lines. So, these are the issues. The other thing that I would have loved to talk about is COP28.
I think we have really run out of time.
Oh, we've run out of time.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If we can talk about COP28, the historic moment at COP28 yesterday. Thank you very much, Emmanuel.